Hey guys, welcome to my brand new class on how to create digital art with Vray 5 for Sketchup for NFT Marketplaces. This is a quick workshop on how you can leverage the latest tools to create awesome landscape digital art in Vray 5 for Sketchup. We will start by learning how to create a simple sphere in Sketchup and learn how to use solid tools to create openings as well. The sphere would be the subject in our scene. And then we will learn how to position the camera using the rule of thirds so you get good compositions within Vray for SketchUp. Learn to use two awesome new features called Lightgen and Lightmix to create an amazing calm vibe for our scene and various options as well. Use Chaos Cosmos materials to spruce up the subject and add high quality materials in our scene. Add realistic grass with this powerful plugin called Skatter 2. And then we will learn some neat post-production techniques entirely within the Vray frame buffer without having to use Photoshop. Towards the end, I will show you how to upload your brand new digital art 3D scene into NFT Marketplaces step by step and share a brief on what exactly NFTs are, also known as non-fungible tokens. I would love to see your work towards the end of the class, and you can share your first NFT links or your artwork as your class project. This class is all you need to get started in creating your first digital art and also your first NFT. Now without further ado, I'll see you in the class inside. Cheers. Hey guys, in this video I'll show you how to use the master resource sheet and the exercise files that we need for this course. So you can open the course and on the right you will find the resource links here. So just select this folder and open the master resource sheet first. So in this sheet, you will find all the necessary links that you would need for this workshop. So you can access the exercise files, and then we also have the main software that we need for this course. So SketchUp, Vray, Skatter 2 and Bool Tools. Towards the end of the course, I also show you how to upload your first NFT on NFT Marketplaces, and you will find the relevant links to open the marketplaces, crypto wallets, and so on. And if you haven't joined our Facebook group, make sure to join our Facebook group as well. So you can just open this link and join our Facebook group. So the first software that you would need to install is SketchUp. And once you've downloaded and installed SketchUp, you can then download and install Vray as well. And we also have Skatter 2 and Bool Tools, which are additional plugins. It's a very simple step-by-step process, which you can follow by simply opening the website and simply following the process on the website. Now the exercise files can be accessed from the Udemy resource link, or you can open it from master resource sheet as well. And here you will find all the exercise files that you need for this course. Each folder contains a start and finish file. So start is when you are starting with the lesson, and finish is the output that you get from each lesson. You can compare it with these files as well, or you can maintain your own files for this course. We also have some additional files which may or may not be required for some of the lessons in this course. Alright, so that's all you need to get started with this workshop. So I'll see you guys in the future video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome to this brand new workshop where I'll be showing you how to create this awesome digital art, and which you can then later publish on NFT marketplaces and also make some money out of it. It's pretty simple to create 3D art in SketchUp and Vray, and we're going to tackle this in this workshop. So to start off, let's open SketchUp and click on architectural millimeters or even inches, whatever you prefer. Right, for this workshop, we'll be using Vray, Skatter 2, and also this awesome plugin called Bool Tools from Mindsight Studios. And we'll also have the large toolset bar on the left and the default tray on the right. So first thing what I'm going to do is going to delete Sumele, and I'm going to draw a sphere, and I'm going to keep the radius to about 11 meters. So I'm going to press C to activate the circle tool. And then on the bottom right, you can see that the number of sides is 24. So I'm going to increase this so that we have a smoother circle and we do not have jagged edges on the sides. So I'm going to keep it at 124, press enter. And then I'm going to click on the center point or the origin here. And now I can specify my radius, which is 11,000 mm. Now similarly, I need to draw another circle, but on the red axis or on the YZ plane. So to do that, you can press the right arrow key or the left arrow key and it will snap to those planes. Now you can simply click on the origin and then click on the edge to create your second circle. And to finally create your sphere, all you need to do is select the bottom face, go to the follow me tool and click on the second face. So this will go ahead and create a sphere in SketchUp. And once you've done that, you can delete this line and you have a perfect looking sphere. You can also see that it is subdivided properly since we increase the number of sides. I'm going to make this a group, so triple click and press G to make it a group. And now I'm going to draw a cylinder so that I can cut an opening through this sphere. So I'm going to hide this for now. So press F2 to hide. I'm going to activate the circle tool again. I'm going to snap it to the green axis by pressing the left arrow key and then click in the origin. And I'm going to give a radius of about 2500 mm. So we get a dia of around 5000 mm. So now we can make this a group, enter the group and push it out on both sides. Now you can press F3 or F4 to unhide our sphere. So now we need to make an opening in this sphere. So we'll use the bool tools, which works perfect compared to the native solid tools in SketchUp. So to make an opening, we need to use the difference tool feature in bool tools. So if you hover here, you can see the difference tool, which simply subtracts the second selected solid from the first solid. So I'm going to select this. Give it some time for the bool operation to happen and then you will get your opening in your sphere. How cool is that? I could probably give a bigger size. So I'm going to draw another circle. Let's say at a radius of around 15,000 mm, which is 15 meters. Then make it a group. You can press Y as well, which is the X-ray mode. And then enter that group and push it out. And select the difference tool. And then select the first object. And then we're going to subtract it with the second object. So now if I press Y, you can see that we have created our nice big sphere and we are ready to go. So the difference tool simply subtracts the second object from the first selected object. Alright, so this is all we need in SketchUp to create our digital art. And now we'll start using the other cool plugins, which is Vray and Skatter 2, to create the photorealistic 3D digital art scene. Alright, so in the next video, we'll set up our camera, add some lights, the ground, water, and a whole lot more. So I'll see you guys next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we will learn how to position the camera so that we have a perfect composition and also adjust the lighting for our scene. So to start off, I'm going to adjust the lights and then use that lighting setup to position the camera as well. So let's open our asset editor. And let's disable the existing lights, which is the sunlight and the environment light. So I'm going to go to my lights option here. So we have sunlight, select that and click on the arrow key here. And now to disable this, you can simply toggle this off. So we've toggled off the sunlight and now we need to go to settings and go to environment and switch off the environment light as well. So now if I run an interactive render, to run an interactive render, you can use the RTX render engine if you have an RTX graphic card. If you don't, I would highly recommend that you stick to the CPU engine mode for now. And also just use the V-Ray denoiser if you're using an older system. But if you've upgraded to RTX graphic card series, then you can either use CUDA or RTX. I'm going to select RTX because my laptop supports RTX. And I'm going to use the V-Ray NVIDIA AI denoiser. I'm also going to drag update effects to rapid. Now with these settings, I'm going to run an interactive render. And now you can see that it is a blank black screen. That's because there is no light in our scene. As in when we add lights, then we will get to see more of the scene. Now you can notice that on the left, I have the history VFP. So I did create this render before teaching this class. I'm just going to try to recreate this render again. And I'm going to use the history VFP again to check the progress of my renders. So I'm going to select another folder. So go to options, VFP settings and go to history. And now I'm going to select another VFP folder. So open this. I'm going to go to my exercise files. I'm going to add a folder called VFP, which simply stands for V-Ray frame buffer. So I'm going to call that VFP history and then select folder. So as you can see, there were no VFBL files in that folder, so it wouldn't show up in the history. And finally, click on Save and Close so that you save those settings. So now we can start adding some lights, and for this workshop, I will be using the dome light setup to lighten our scene. So to add a dome light, you can click on the dome light option here, and you can see that we've added our dome light. Doesn't matter where you place your dome light. Now in the latest feature of V-Ray 5, which is V-Ray 5 update 2, they've added something called multiple HDRI lighting. So we can add multiple dome lights and mix and match those dome lights in the V-Ray frame buffer. So the V-Ray frame buffer is essentially what happens when you click on V-Ray interactive render button or the render button. This is the V-Ray frame buffer window. Now you can see some light. This is actually the dome light, but we'll have to add our HDRI to our dome light. So let's stop the render. Let's add an HDRI or a 360 panoramic image to this dome light. To do that, I'm going to access the HDRIs from the Chaos Cosmos library. So click on Chaos Cosmos here. Open this up. And then go to HDRIs. So in HDRIs, I'm going to go to the evening category, and I'm going to select some random HDRIs with some nice backgrounds as well. So let's go with this. You just need to click on the download button here, and then once it's finished downloading, you can load it into your scene. So you can see now it's 100, and then I can simply click here to import it into my scene. So in my case, I'm going to use sunset 18 and sunset 30. I'm going to close this. So I've added two dome lights from the Chaos Cosmos library, but it wouldn't apply on the dome light directly. It would just save it into your texture slot in the V-Ray asset editor. So we need to manually copy and paste it into our dome light settings. So let's go to asset editor. Let's go to textures here. So you can see these are the two lights that we bought in, Sun 30 and Sunset 16. So I'm going to copy Sun 30. So right click, copy, then go to lights, and then I'm going to go to dome light and then paste it here as a copy. You can also paste it as an instance, but I generally tweak the settings in the dome light settings itself. So I'm going to click on paste as copy, and I'm also going to change the shape to sphere so that the dome light surrounds the entire scene. Next, I'm going to copy the other light, which is sunset 16. So I click copy and paste it to the dome light, the new dome light, which is dome light 1. So right click and paste as copy. Also make sure to change the shape to sphere. Once you've done that, it's a good idea to rename these. So the first dome light is Sun 30 and the second is Sunset 16. So let's rename this. And now that we have lighting in our scene, we can go ahead and compose this render. So before I do that, I'm just going to add a render element called Lightmix because I want to adjust the lights in the V-Ray frame buffer. So click on render elements here and select Lightmix. And you can leave this option as is. And now I'm just going to sort of position my camera this way. I'm also going to be posting this render on Instagram. So I would like to change the render output from 16:9, which it is at the present moment. It's taking the window of the SketchUp view, to 1:1. So perfect square. So if I want to see the perfect square in my SketchUp window, I can go to my asset editor here, go to settings, go to render output, and switch this on. And now also I'm going to make the aspect ratio to 1:1 square. So we have 450 by 450. Now since I have a good system, I'm going to run the interactive render at 2000 by 2000. So now I can position my camera this way, just as a starting point. I'm also going to be adding this as a scene so that I don't have to keep positioning in case I orbit out. So let's go to our default tray here, go to scenes and click on add scene. Alright, so now I can click on render with V-Ray Interactive. And there you go. You can see this background, the scene. You can see our ball here. And you can also notice that it feels like it's floating in the air. We're going to fix that by adding an infinite plane. Now, before I add the infinite plane, the other stuff, I'll add my layers here so that I can get some optimum lighting in my scene. So let's add the exposure layer. And then I can increase the exposure to make it brighter. And if it's a little overexposed or burnt out in certain areas, you can reduce the highlight burns. I'm going to increase the contrast as well. And then I could also add a curve. So let's do an S curve this way. And I can also add a filmic tone map. One of my favorites. It gives you that cinematic effect, but if it's a little too much, I might reduce the value. So you can just drag the slider down to sort of reduce the effect of this layer on the image. Right, great. And then I'm going to also save this out so that in case I want to load it back later, I can do that. So I'm going to call this VFP initial layer. All right, great. And finally, another additional layer which is super useful when you're composing a scene is by adding an EXR image to your background layer. So first, let's add the background layer. So create layer, click on background, and then I'm going to load in my EXR image. You'll find it in the exercise files for this lesson. Select rule of thirds and click on open. And if it doesn't show up, simply click on as foreground. So it would come up into the foreground of the image. And now I can sort of adjust my view by panning in SketchUp. So let me just zoom out. Try to get this ball in the center of this grid and then have equal proportion and negative space in our scene. So this looks fine for now. So I'm going to update this and I'm going to stop the Vray Interactive. We'll need to adjust this further, but for now, this is a good starting point. Alright, so I'm going to add this to the history VFP. Now, if it comes black here, you don't have to worry, but it generally will load when you double click on this thumbnail. The thumbnail seems to be a glitch with the latest update, which they will surely fix in the future updates as well of Chaos Cosmos Vray 5. Now this is a good starting point. So I will need to add an infinite plane now so that it covers the ground of the scene and also runs till the horizon. So you have a nice layer of ground for the scene. So let's click on the infinite plane. And then let me just place it at the origin. So it's right at the center. And whatever below this will not be seen because we have a ground at the moment. So if I run an interactive render, it will add the ground as you can see. So let's go back to scene 1. And let's check our interactive render. Now we have added our ground and we can compose this scene a little more better. So let me just go back. Move this, stop the render, scroll out a bit and then run the Vray interactive render again. And let me just sort of zoom out and get that ball right into the nice compositional center of the scene with some nice negative space around the frame as well. Right. I also like the render to be placed this way. And then I can right click on scene 1 and click on update. Alright, this looks good. So let me stop the render and add this to the history VFP. Now if you'd like to see a before and after, you can just toggle the AB horizon feature and then assign this as A and assign this as B. And now you can see the difference we made by adding that ground. So this is a good starting point. And now we can add our materials, tweak the lights, and then finally set this up for render. So it's a quick workshop and you can see how fast we can create digital renders using Sketchup and Vray. So I'll see you guys next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we'll add the materials for our scene and then toggle the lights a bit more so that we have some dramatic lighting effects. So to start off, I'm going to add a liquid material. So for the ground so that we sort of see the reflections of this globe as well. So let's go to the asset editor here. Let's go to materials and let's toggle the material window dialog box. So now if you have an active internet connection, you will be able to access these materials. So I'm going to go to liquid here and you can use any of these materials which works for you. I'm going to go for orange juice. So let me just bring in orange juice. And then I'm also going to delete these other materials which belongs to the default figure in SketchUp, who is Sumele. So let me delete Sumele's materials. So select the materials, click on delete. And now we can assign this orange juice material to our infinite plane. So this is our infinite plane here. So let's scroll in. And now you can see that this is sort of transparent. So if you want to see the solid object on top of this Vray geometry, all you need to do is go to enable solid widgets and switch this on. And now you can see the face as well. And with the active material, which is orange juice, so press B, you can see that the active material is orange juice. I'm going to use the bucket tool to apply this material on the infinite plane. So you can see the change of color when I apply the material. And now if I go to scene 1 and run an interactive render, you can see the reflection of the sky, the dome light, and the sphere here. And you can see how amazing this looks. So let me just add this to S3VFB. And now I can adjust the lights further. So if I go to source Lightmix, we have both the dome lights here. Now these lights don't really affect the scene because they're already turned off. But these two lights do affect the scene. So if I switch this off, you can see that that one dome light goes off. Now if I switch this off, it becomes pitch dark. So if you want to mix and match, what you can do is sort of reduce the opacity of that dome light by dialing it down using the dialer here. You can do it for this as well. And then you can see that the dome light sort of mixes and matches. So if I switch this off and switch it on, you can see that it has that extra cloud in the scene. You don't really see it, but if I reduce the value, now you can sort of see how it is blending in. So that's pretty cool. So this is one way you can play with lights. Another way is by using the Lightgen feature. So you can click on the Lightgen here, select exterior lighting, go to HDR since you're using the dome lights. And now you can generate about 105 variants. We don't need too many variants. So I'm going to keep it to around 18 variants by changing the number of styles. The variations is the rotation of the dome light, and the C is the different lighting intensity of the dome lights. The more dramatic lighting you want, you can increase the seed and then click on generate 18 variants. So let me just pause and come back once the lighting is done. Alright, so now it's generated some really cool lighting effects in our scene. I particularly like this lighting setup a lot. Now when you select the lighting, it is going to be added to the V-Ray asset editor. So you can see that I selected this. So if I go to asset editor, go to lights, you can see that there's a Lightgen dome which has been added, which is simply this lighting setup. Now if you want to add additional lighting setups, you will have to rename this. So I'm going to call this Uno. So that's number 1. So let me just add another lighting setup. I like this lighting setup with a lot of dark clouds. So now you can see this is the second one. So rename this. So you'll have to always rename the lighting setup, because if I select another lighting setup, it would overwrite the existing dome light. So you'll have to select the dome light, rename it. So this will be those. And then again select the light. It will create a new one and then rename this as tres. Uno, dos, tres. And if you want to add this lighting system into your scene, you will have to activate all of them. So now we have 5 different dome light settings in our scene, and then simply go to scene 1 and run an interactive render. So now the lighting would come as super bright. You can see that it's super bright because it's mixing all the dome lights together. So let's switch off all of them and switch them on one by one. So this is one lighting setup which I've added from Lightgen. And then let's switch that off, and the second one. This is the second lighting setup. And this is the third lighting setup. I like this a lot. Now, if you want to mix it with the other lighting setups, you can do that as well. So let's select the top lighting. And then I can sort of reduce the intensity of the top light. So you can see how that affects the scene. You can also change the color of that light. So if you want like sort of a moody scene, you can do that. Sort of change the temperature, or you can make it super cool as well. And you can mix and match between the two lightings. So you can make one as blue and one as orange. So you have great creative capabilities with Lightgen and the Lightmix feature. I can also switch on the top layer. So now you can see it brightens up the entire scene. Sort of reduce the intensity of that light. I can switch on the other lights as well. So you will need to figure out what sort of lighting setup and light you like for your scene, depending on your artistic taste. And you can also add this to the S3VFB. Say for example, you like this lighting setup, and then you switch this off. Or let's say you switch this off. and you like this lighting setup better, you can add this again to the HTUFB. And then you can add a AB horizontal, assign this as A, assign this as B, and see, you can see the difference between those two lighting systems. Alright, so this is the lighting system. Now if you want the previous one, you can simply stop the interactive render and then load in the second one. So if you double click on the HTUFB, it would load in that lighting setup. How cool is that? So it was number 3, so select number 3 and then go to source Lightmix. So this is the lighting setup that we're using. Simply save this Lightmix setting, call this Lightmix final setting, and then click on save. And then if you're happy with this result, let me just switch off the background. I can save this out as well. So click on save, go to exercise files and call this halfway there. Halfway there, but still looks good. So you can see that we've created an awesome render right off the bat just by tweaking the lights and playing with the infinite plane and the various dome lights as well. Now you guys can stop here if you like, but if you want to explore further, in the next video I will show you how to use Skatter 2 to add grass on top of this globe and make some really cool artistic renders. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I'll show you how to add grass to our scene here and also create another additional view this way, which sort of represents the last scene in the movie Interstellar. So let's go back to scene 1 and let's add our first material. Now there is a new feature in V-Ray 5, which is the Chaos Cosmos materials. So open Chaos Cosmos library, go to materials, and we have various materials here which you can use. So let's say you want to use this grass material, you can download it and then click on import, and now it would be imported into your asset editor, so you will need to apply it after it's imported. So let's close this. Let's go to asset editor, go to materials. You can see it's applied, it's imported, called grass, 150 centimeters. Now you can select this, use the bucket tool and apply the material on the object. Let's check if it's come with the correct scale as well. So let me select this material, go to edit. So it's come at 1500 mm, which is 150 centimeters. Now let's see how it looks with this green material here. So let's render with V-Ray Interactive. That looks out of place, so maybe we can use a color which matches this scene. So let's stop the render, go to Chaos Cosmos and let's go to materials again. And let's check if there's any material that could match that scene. So sort of orange, pinkish tones, blue skies, dark clouds here. So let's maybe try this magma rock. So download it, load it in, select magma rock, select the object, right click and click on apply to selection. Alright, that seems to have applied it uniformly as well. So let's go back to scene 1 and let's run an interactive render. So that looks kind of cool, but it seems sort of repeating. So let's go for a more seamless object. Let's try something brighter. So maybe this marble white. So just download that, load it in, and then apply this on the object. Also render with V-Ray Interactive. So that looks kind of cool, that nice texture on the object here. So I can sort of save this out by adding it to the HTVFB or saving it out separately as well. Alright, so that's how you add materials from the Chaos Cosmos material library into your asset editor and apply it to your scene. So how cool that looks. So I would like to see what kind of renders you are able to create. Do share it in the workshop or in the assignments or on social media as well, and I'll be happy to check it out. Now in the next video I'll show you how to use Skatter and apply a 3D grass which looks more realistic. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video I'll show you how to create grass on this globe and create some awesome new views for our scene as well. So it's always a good idea to create multiple views in your scene. That way you can exploit the model as much as you can and also create some awesome renders in the process. Alright, so for this video, we'll be using Skatter 2. So you can start off by opening the 3D Bazaar, which comes as a bonus with Skatter 2. So I'm going to open 3D Bazaar. Now I'm going to load my grass from 3D Bazaar because it has some nice grass materials. So let's go to Skatter 2 contents. And you can see that we have the Skatter tall grass. So you can download if you haven't downloaded it yet. So all you need to do is just open it and download it. You can also mention a folder if you like. So in my case, I've already downloaded Skatter 2 tall grass. So I'm just going to open this and I'm going to import it as a proxy because I don't want to make my model heavy. So if you import it as a proxy, it will just show up in your interactive renders and it will not show up in your SketchUp model. So I'm going to click on import. And what it does is, as soon as you import it, it will add the grass to something called the Skatter composition editor. And this is essentially a composition, and you can create multiple compositions with Skatter. For example, you have different objects, and if you want to add other compositions, you can add, like, for example, trees to those compositions. And all of those compositions will show up here under the composition manager. So we have Skatter tall grass, which is our first composition. But it's not really applied on the model yet because we haven't added a host to this composition. So let me close the composition manager. Now in the composition editor, we have something called the scattered objects. So the scattered objects in this case is the Skatter 2 grass that we downloaded from the marketplace. So now we need to add the host, which is essentially what is going to be hosting the scattered objects. So you can see above we have something called host. So you can select the surface. So simply click on this button icon here. And then you can select any group or face to scatter your objects on. So I'm going to select this globe. And now you can see that we've scattered our grass on top of the globe. Now there are a few settings that we'll need to change in the host. So let's go to the settings button here, open settings. And let's change the texture coordinates to sphere. So now the grass would be applied uniformly on top of the sphere, but it's still applying only on the top area of the spheres. And we'll have to change the distribution. So the type will be uniform as it will uniformly apply the object on the surface. And we'll have to change the mode from world space to face space. So that means it would apply evenly on the entire face of the group or object. And we can then also increase the intensity of the objects in our sphere. So now you can see that it is evenly distributing the grass on top of the sphere. And now you have two options. Now if you want to see the proxy in your model, you can switch off the render mode and click on generate. And this would generate all those proxies as objects in your SketchUp view. Now I wouldn't recommend that because that will make your model heavy and it will be slow to use SketchUp. So always use render only mode and then click on generate. So you will see this change only in your V-Ray interactive render. Alright, so I've applied the grass. Now let's go to scene 1. Let's create another scene if required. Maybe this way, right at the center. Add the scene and then click on render with V-Ray interactive. Alright, great. So now you can see the render and you can see that the grass is sort of evenly applied on the sphere, but the grass is not properly applied inside. So a quick hack, what you can do is, let me just abort the render. I can enter this group and then I'll select the inside part of the sphere and make it a separate group. So now this will be separate from this entity. And now I can cut this, so Ctrl X. So now you can see the hollowness inside. Escape and then click on edit and click on paste in place. So now this is a separate entity from this group. So we have two separate groups. So now let's go back to Skatter. So this is a new composition, which is not what we need. We need to go back to the whole composition. So open your composition manager and then click on edit here. And now you can see if you toggle any of these settings here, it will apply only on this surface evenly. So now we can click on generate and it's generated the grass. Now since the settings for this inside group would be different, we'll have to create another composition. So let's click on generate and close this. And then go to the marketplace again and load in our tall grass. You guys can go ahead and load anything else, any other material as well, but I'm going to be sticking to tall grass here. So let's load that in again. And now let's select our host again. So you'll have to change the settings again. So let's go to distribution, change the mode from world space to phase space, and let's change the intensity. So once we increase the intensity, you can see that it starts to uniformly apply on the entire surface. So let's change it to around 140. So 140 gives it that uniform thickness around the entire cylinder, and then we can click on generate. So now let's go back to scene 2 and then run an interactive render. So now we have nice even grass on the inside. We can increase the density of the grass outside as well. So let's stop the render. We can add this to the history VFB because it's kind of looking cool now. And then let's go to composition editor and edit the first one, and then sort of increase the density, and then click on generate. It's also a good idea to change the material if you like, if you want to see even grass everywhere. So you can apply the grass material on your globe, and you can apply it on the inside as well. Alright, so now let's go back to scene 2 and then run an interactive render. Alright, so this looks more neat, and this edge also looks kind of neat. It acts as a portal to our scene. Now what I'll do is add some additional views. So we have scene 2. Let me just check if scene 2 is sitting correctly, so I can add the background layer which is already present, and just switch that on. So now you can see that the right side is it's not really sitting in the center of the scene. So what I'll do is just sort of adjust this quickly, just by panning to the left a bit, switching on 2-point perspective as well. And this is kind of sitting in the center of the scene, so I can update the scene. Now if you're finding it difficult to adjust the rule of thirds in the V-Ray frame buffer, you can also add it to your SketchUp view. So you can open the default ray, go to styles and click on edit. And under these options, you have something called display watermark. So we can add an image here. We can select this PNG image from the exercise files and click on open. And now we can adjust the settings of this. So let's go to next. Let's reduce the blend so that we don't see it as too opaque, just as a light background. And we can leave the rest of the settings as is. Click on next. And then you have different options. You can tile it, position in the center of the screen, and increase the scale. So you can do it this way as well. Or you can simply click on stretch to fit the screen. And then finally click on finish. Then update the scene. So now you have a watermark in your SketchUp view as well, which will help you compose your scenes better. So what I'll do is sort of adjust it a bit. Make sure it's sitting correctly in the scene. Go to camera, 2-point perspective. This seems to be in the center, so let me right click and click on update. So now let's finally run an interactive render. And we have a perfectly composed render in our scene. How cool is this? So let me add this to the history VFB. Switch off the background, stop the render, and then save this out. So the interactive render works similar to the progressive render mode, where it keeps rendering passes as you keep the render on. And the more passes it goes by, the better quality renders you get. So you can leave it as is and then wait for a bit and then save it out as well. But for me, the render seems decent to add on NFT. Oh, by the way, this showed up because when you add stuff from Skatter, it gets added to the center. So it's a good idea to unlock these and then move it out of the scene. Alright, so in the next video, I'll show you how to make some additional post-production edits within the V-Ray frame buffer before you save out your final views. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we're going to work with our previous render and make some additional light edits. So what I'll do is I'll go to source Lightmix. And this is the current light setup that we have. So if you want to post-produce in the V-Ray frame buffer, you'll have to add some additional render elements as well. So let me just go to Asset Editor, go to Render Elements here, and I'm going to add a Cryptomatte render element, a Z-Depth render element to add fog into our scene, and a render ID element as well. Generally, the CryptoMat element works well because it assigns a color to every material in your scene. Now with these render elements, I'll run the interactive render again. And now if you see, we have the CryptoMat render element which is assigned a different color for each of the materials in our scene. And we also have the Z depth render element which will add a fog into our scene. And the render ID render element which will assign different colors for the materials in our scene. Alright, so now we're going to use this in the post-production process. So let me stop the render. We're going to work with what we have here. By the way, if you want to fix this edge here, let me just show that to you in case you have that doubt. The reason why that edge problem was showing up was because there's no border applied on the sphere. So we'll have to go open the bazaar again from the Skatter plugin and then open tall grass. And then here we have something called scatter grass border. So select border and then click on import and then select the host, which is going to be our object here. And now you can see it is applied on the borders of the sphere. So let's change the distribution from world space to face space. Now it's applied evenly and let's leave the density as is. We can also sort of increase the offset here or decrease the offset so that overlaps at the edge if you like. So now it sort of overlaps at the edge and then we can increase the density a bit more. Then click on generate. Alright, so now if I go to scene 2 and run an interactive render, you can see that the boundary problem sort of goes away. We may have to decrease the offset because it's sort of leaving that gap there, but it definitely looks better than the previous render. So we can leave it like this, where this is sort of an entrance and work with what we have. So let me stop the render. And now let's click on to composite. So what this does is it'll add all your layers along with the Lightmix layers into a folder where you can do some composition. So first thing what I'll do is change this, call this option 1 lighting or just option 1. And the first thing what I'll do is sort of change the lighting setup a bit. So let's switch on the other lights. We can reduce the opacity here as well if you like. I like this effect as well, which looks pretty cool. Now if you want to create multiple effects, so this is one effect. So let's go back to Lightmix. And then let's, for example, switch off this light and I like this light effect better. Then you can again click on to composite. So it'll again copy all the layers here. So we can call this as option 2. If you want to see option 1, you can simply toggle off option 2 and toggle option 1. So that way you can create multiple options and you can also save these options out as presets, which you can then later load into another scene in your same model. So to add it as a preset, just go to options, VFP settings, go to layers and then load a preset folder. So I'm going to create a folder called presets and click on select folder, click on save and close. So now if you want to save this as a preset, this lighting setup, all you need to do is click on save and save it to that preset folder. So I'll call this option 2 and then let's switch this on and save this out as option 1. So now it would show up as a preset here. So you can change the options pretty quickly under presets. How cool is that? So even if you load another render, so before I do that, let me add this to the HTVFP. Alright, so if you load another render and you go to presets and select option 2, you can see that the preset changes. Pretty cool, right? So let's go to the first option and let's work with the second option because I like second option. Gives a very nice cool effect. So now let's say, for example, you want to make the globe sort of brighter in the scene for whatever reason. Then you'll have to create a new folder. So you can right click here, click on new layer and click on folder. So this will create a new folder. You can change the name of the folder here. So make globe brighter. And then you'll have to add a crypto mask layer into this object, into this folder. So right click, go to new layer and click on crypto matte mask. And then you'll have to pick the material. So click on pick and select this material. So you can see that it's added scatter to grass large. We can also apply this additional material and this border edge here. Alright, so it's selected the material. And now we can assign a layer to this mask to change the color of the globe. So right click on make globe brighter, go to new layer and click on exposure. And now if you increase the exposure, you can see that we're making the grass material sort of stand out. Similarly, you can also change the color of the grass. So if I go to make globe brighter, go to new layer and click on hue saturation. Now if I change the hue, you can see that it changes the color of the grass. How cool is that? Similarly, you can also change the color of, say for example, this water here and the sky as well. There's two ways. One is either changing the color here using the dome light color, or you can create another folder. So options, new layer folder, call this color change, and then you'll have to add a crypto matte mask, add your infinite plane. And if you're not able to select the sky, what you can do is, let me just remove the infinite plane. So you can click on the minus button here, and then I'll select the objects here, which is this, and then I'll simply click on invert mask. So now it will select the entire rest of the mask. And then what I'll do is right click, go to new layer, and let's add a color balance this time. And now you can change the color of your background as well. So you created sort of a cool effect just with the composite tools in V-Ray. And finally, if you like this, you can save this out as a preset as before. So click on save and call this option 3. So now if you want to load this into another layer, or if you want to load your previous VFPL file, you can do that as well. So let's go to this scene here, go here and click on option 3, and you can see that we've added this awesome cool effect to this scene as well. How cool is that? So that was a quick introduction to how you can use layers and masks in the V-Ray frame buffer. It has a built-in post-production process now, which works much better than Photoshop in my opinion. So I hope you guys found this video useful. And once you're happy with all of these views, you can just simply save them out, keep them ready, because in the next video, I'll show you how to add them to the NFT Marketplace and mint those NFTs as well. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, welcome back. Now in this video, I'll show you how to upload your images to NFT Marketplaces, and hopefully you can start selling your NFTs as well. So before we get into actually uploading it into these various NFT marketplaces, I'll just give you a brief about NFT. So NFT stands for non-fungible token. So the difference between non-fungible and fungible is that a non-fungible token is not replaceable. It is a unique piece of art, for example. Let's take Mona Lisa, right? So Mona Lisa is a one-off piece and it's unique. It has a unique identity to it. And you can't really replace it with another Mona Lisa because firstly, Da Vinci isn't alive, and I'm sure Da Vinci wouldn't be able to recreate the Mona Lisa himself. So it's a unique piece of art. So the NFT stands for the same idea where you'll be able to sort of create a unique piece of digital art by utilizing the blockchain technology. So once you upload an image to the NFT marketplaces, it will generate a token ID which is unique to your NFT, and then you would technically be the owner. You will have ownership over that NFT or that digital art. And a fungible token is simply something which can be traded or which can be replaced. For example, if I give someone 1 gram of gold in return for 1 gram of gold, I'm still getting the same value out of it. It's a fungible token. It's not a unique object. The gold is still the same. Same goes for Bitcoin or currency or any of those, since those are fungible. But non-fungible is unique. It stands out. You have ownership. And the best part about NFTs is that once you sell an NFT, you can still claim 10 to 20% royalties from future sales as well. So each time someone else sells your NFT, you get a bonus of 10%. Now, I hope that made sense. My hair is messed up, so that's why I didn't show my face. But I hope that gives you an idea of what exactly an NFT is. So now let's upload our NFT. I really like this artwork, so I'm going to be uploading it into an NFT marketplace called Rarible. But before we open Rarible, if you want to upload your NFT into any of these marketplaces, you need something called the crypto wallet. So the best wallet at the moment is MetaMask, but I personally use Coinbase wallet because it's from the company called Coinbase, which has been part of the crypto space for ages. And they're definitely the leaders in the space. So that's why I went with Coinbase. But you guys can also go with MetaMask since it's the most used crypto wallet in the industry at the moment. So I'm going to select MetaMask and open it up. And then you can click on download now. So now once you click on download now, you'll have to install MetaMask for Chrome. So if you're using Chrome, click on MetaMask, install MetaMask for Chrome. And then click on add to Chrome and click on add extension. So this will add MetaMask as a Chrome plugin. And then it will redirect to its website where you can get started. Now, if you have a secret recovery phase, you can click on import wallet and then paste that secret recovery phase. Or if you're creating MetaMask for the first time, you can click on create a wallet and then you can click on I agree to share your usage information, and that will help MetaMask to improve as well. So I would suggest that you click on I agree and then apply a password. Click on I have read and agreed to the terms of use and click on create. So now it will show up with a secret recovery phrase, which is a 12-word phrase and is also the master key. So if you click on next and if you click here to reveal the secret words, these are the various words that will show up. So copy this and save it to a secure location. I would suggest that you use an app to save your passwords and secret recovery phrases. I personally use Bitwarden, which is super useful. So you can use Bitwarden as well, which you will find in the resource sheets. So once you've noted down your master key, then click on next, and then you'll have to sort of arrange it back the correct order. So I'm going to do that quickly. And then click on confirm. So now you can see that we've created our MetaMask account. So click on all done. And we are ready to go. Now, if you want to change the name of your account, you can go to account details and click on edit and call this Sketchup Guru Test. So now we can use this to log into our NFT marketplaces. So we'll have to pin MetaMask here to our Chrome list. It shows up here as well. And then you can go back to the master resource sheet, click on Rarible, open it up, and then click on sign in and click on sign in with MetaMask. Since I've already signed in with my account, it was able to detect the blockchain. And to create your NFT, you can click on create. And we can use the Ethereum blockchain, which is the most stable and widespread at the moment. So click on create. And then there's two options. Now, if your NFT is going to have multiple versions, or if you want to sell the same NFT as multiple times, you can select multiple. So for example, you can select 100 editions of your NFT and you can select multiple. Most of the new companies do that. For example, Adidas collections, they sell about 60 versions of the same NFT. You can do that. Or if you want to just select one version of the NFT, you can click on single. Now you can click on choose file to select your NFT. So I'm going to select this and click on open. Now there's three options. You can use fixed price, open for bids, or timed auction. I would suggest that you start with fixed price, and as you build your NFT portfolio, you can start opening up your NFTs for bids as well. So I'm going to select fixed price, and now you need to select a price for each piece. Now you can only sell it in Ethereum because the NFT is created in the Ethereum blockchain. So I'm going to keep around 0.1 for my NFT, which is close to $386. Now, if you want to create your own collection, you can go ahead and click on create. And if you're making an NFT for a certain collection, you can go ahead and give a name, the symbol, description, and so on, and also give a short URL. But In my case, I'm not going to be adding it to any collection. So I'm just going to select the Rarible collection, which is part of the Rarible website. And then this is the important option. Now, if you want to pay the gas fee for your NFT, so gas is essentially a transaction fee in NFT marketplaces because gas is used by miners to process transactions, and it is one of the key differences between Ethereum and other cryptocurrencies like blockchain. So the amount of gas you need depends on how large of a contract you're trying to execute and how fast you want to execute it as well. But in our case, we're not going to be paying gas fees because you're going to be waiting for someone else to buy our NFT and they would be paying the gas fee. So you can switch on free minting, which essentially means you can upload your NFT for free, and then you can give a name for this. So I'm going to give this a name called Fears and Notions, and then you can also go ahead and give a description. And this is the best part about NFT called royalty. So you can increase the royalty up to 50%, which means that each time this NFT is sold in the marketplace, you will get a 10% share of your NFT. So each time it is sold in the future, for example, now it's sold at 0.1, but if it is sold at 1 ETH or 2 Ethereum in the future, you would get 10% of that. So you would essentially get 0.1 Ethereum, which is super cool. So this is all we need, and then simply click on create item. So now you would need to approve the NFT from the MetaMask Chrome plugin. Or if you're using Coinbase wallet, which I'm using at the moment, I'm going to approve it on my phone. You just need to open the wallet app on your phone or MetaMask in Chrome and then simply click on accept or sign in. So you'll need to sign in 3 times. So I've signed in for Mint and now I'll sign in for approve. And there we go. We've created our NFT. So you can click on view NFT. And this is our NFT, which is in the marketplace at the moment. So how cool is that, guys? We've just created our first NFT. I would highly recommend that you edit your profile, add some details. You can also follow me on Rarible and buy my NFTs if you like. But that's how simple it is to create NFTs and also start minting NFTs. So I hope you guys found this workshop useful and you learned quite a ton. Do start uploading your work on NFT marketplaces. It really helps. So I'll see you guys in the future workshops. Do share my class with your friends if you liked it so far. And do leave a review. It helps me a lot in creating more workshops. And yeah, that's about it. This is Manish, your instructor, signing off from SketchUp Guru. Take care. Cheers.